Bonnie. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have a little video here for you guys working on a couple 12 by 12 layouts. These are a couple Christmassy themed layouts that are going to go in my Project Life album. So right now we are nearing the very end of the year, and I do have, I think, 3 other additional layouts that I need to finish. So you may see another video come up pretty soon working on a couple more if y'all enjoy these 12 by 12s. Otherwise, I might just do them off camera. But I am trying to get everything wrapped up for 2022 so that I can start on my 2023 Project Life album super soon. So for this one, I had a couple extra little stories that I wanted to tell that were going to be sandwiched between week, I believe, 50 and 51 in my album. So I grabbed out this paper pad from Die Cuts with a View that I am truly in love with. It's called Down the Chimney, and it is so cute. So I got this late in the season, but I really, really love it. I saw it on scrapbook.com whenever I was shopping, before the holidays, but I ended up not grabbing it, and I'm kind of kicking myself for that. But I love the other collections that I used, which were the crepe paper, mittens, and mistletoe, and then also Simple Stories, Mix and a Mingle. But I really, really love this collection a lot. I felt like there were some great patterns. A lot of these that I've included here, I just think they were really easy patterns to work with, not so busy, and I just really enjoyed it. So I'm glad that I picked this paper pad up here at the end of the season, so I was able to use it in my Project Life and also in some of the last layouts in my December daily. So for this one, I knew that I wanted to use a couple of the scrap papers that I'd already previously kind of cut into and create some sort of layout with just using strips of paper. So that was kind of my initial idea. So I just cut a bunch of these scrap papers into random size strips, and then I've added them on. And although I do like all of these colors together, something's just not quite working for me. So it takes me a minute here to just kind of finagle things around. I trade out a few pieces of paper, and then what I end up ultimately doing is I'm going to take an additional piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to cover up like half of the layout just so that there's only those strips of paper on like half of it. Because right now when I'm trying to position everything, I am having trouble. I think it's a little busy. I'm having trouble really making these photos stand out against all of the pattern paper. So right now in my mind, I'm trying to just position everything and figure out what can I do to kind of tone this down a little bit, but still have the same effect that I'm hoping to have. So first things first, I turn the layout on the side, and I like it when the patterns are kind of coming out of kind of that left side, moving into the right side of the layout instead of them going up and down. So I changed that, and then here I'm just cutting off a few excess pieces so that it's not super bulky, and then I'm going to take that piece of white cardstock and I'm just going to literally adhere it over here to this left side of the spread. And I think that it tones it down so much, and I'm so happy that I ended up doing that. So we're going to do that, and then we will start to have all the fun adding our title and our photos and all that kind of good stuff. So if you noticed the cutie pie in my photos, I wanted to tell you about this little story and who this little kitty cat is. So over this year, I have mentioned it in my Project Life and around here a few different times, but we had a lot of feral kitties come around and call our house home. So the one cat that is always up by where me and Will live, we named her Judy, and she started coming around in May. Well, she was pregnant. Soon after that, right after we kind of noticed her coming around and started feeding her, we were like, is she pregnant? So she ended up having this little kitty. I'm not sure if she had more, but this is the one that we would see her with. And so we named this baby Lasagna, and she has been hanging out around our house as well. They mostly have made their home in our carport and also go around to our back porch sometimes as well. Well, over Christmas weekend, right before Christmas on Thursday, like much of the U.S., our temps here just dropped drastically. So on Thursday during the day, I think it was about 45 degrees. And by that night, the temperature dropped like 40 degrees down to only 5 degrees here, which is really cold for us. So we were thinking, okay, we have to try to get these kitties inside. So before the weather ever have made the turn, I was trying my best to get the cats in for a couple hours and finally was able to grab them and make it happen and got them into our TV room. And I had everything ready to go. I had blankets in there and food, and me and my mom had run out to Target earlier that day and gotten litter boxes and all that kind of stuff so that we would be ready to go to get them inside. So I was really excited. So they stayed inside Thursday night, Friday and Friday night, Saturday and Saturday night, and I believe Sunday on Christmas, the weather finally started to feel a little bit better, so we let them go outside for a while, and then I was able to grab them again and get them back inside for Sunday night. So it all worked out really well, but there were tears involved. There was some, a lot of, I would say, turmoil that was happening, a lot of trauma that occurred, but we got them in, and it ended up being a really good thing. So Lasagna is one of those kitties that is so photogenic. Reminds me of our dog Greta, who passed away almost 2 years ago now, but she was just so photogenic and would just like look at you and let you take a photo of her. And that's how Lasagna is. And so it was really fun taking a few pictures of her in the room whenever she would let me. So I have the cute one of her over by the little Christmas tree that we have in there. And then I was trying to play, me and Will gave her a few little toys. So that's one of the little catnip mice that had a Santa hat on. So we were trying to play with her. So I was able to snap a few pictures of her there laying on the couch as well. So I love having these photos. I didn't get a great photo of Judy, although I did tell this story in my December daily in a little more detail, and I do have a couple small photos of Judy in there, but I also wanted to tell the story in my project life. So for me, as far as double scrapping goes and everything, my project life is kind of my end all be all scrapbooking for me. I want all my stories to be in Project Life and each week of the year. So even if I'm doing a December daily, I still scrapbook in Project Life, because if I'm grabbing out my Project Life album and I want to look through it, I want all the months to be there and all the stories to be there. And then anything that I double scrap in an additional album, that's okay with me. I just want everything to be in my Project Life. It's kind of my full year in review type of a thing. And then if I want to go in detail about a trip and make an entire album, or I want to go in detail about our holiday season for December daily or for October daily, that's totally fine with me if I double scrap a little bit, but I like for everything to be in Project Life. I hope that makes sense. So for me, I did already tell the story in December daily, but like I said, I like for it to be in here as well. So during week 51, which was Christmas week, that's when all of this was going on. But as far as my Project Life spread went, I already had so many photos to go along with that week that I really didn't have the room to include these pictures here of Lasagna. So for me, it was just easier to kind of expand on this story in a 12 by 12 layout. Plus, I love playing around with my papers and doing something additional in my album. I love kind of breaking up the pocket page spreads with larger 12 by 12 spreads and things like that. So worked out great for me. So now I've added my little cluster of photos. I think I printed off the larger photo is like a 4 by 6, and then the smaller ones are 3 by 4, and then I think a 2 by 3. So I just did like 3 different photos, photo sizes, just to make it a little interesting. And then I kind of clustered them together you'll see that I've added on some Studio Calico chipboard stars to kind of the end of some of those pieces of paper. And then I added on 2 different labels to tell my story. I also found the sticker Warm Wishes, not witches, Wishes, which is the same sticker that I used in December Daily as well. And I had 2 of them. So I thought, what the heck, I'm going to add it on here too, because I felt like it worked out so perfectly for the story of keeping the kitties warm. So just to add a little something to the outside of the spread as well, I'm just doing a small kind of doodle border, I guess, with my black pen. And I don't think that I add too much else. I don't remember adding anything else, but I really like the way that this one turned out. I love how simple it is, but how colorful it is. And I think that it's really fun, and I enjoyed using some of my product here. Oh, yes. I also had these vellum stars from Studio Calico that I had left over from some of my December Daily scrap-ins. So I end up just kind of placing those as well on the ends of these pieces of paper. And then I'm just going to take my tiny attacher and staple them right on. So I love the way that that ends up looking. I think it gave it a nice kind of different texture. I love that it's vellum, so they're kind of see-through. And I think it gave the layout exactly what it needed. So that is it for this layout, and then we're going to move on to the second one in this video. So this one is all about reading, and in particular, these Finley Donovan books that me and my mom got for Christmas. So this was another story that I wanted to tell because I actually did not tell any like bookish stories in my December Daily this year. I do include this photo in my December Daily, but I didn't tell a specific story about this photo or anything. So I wanted to talk about this picture in particular because it's the end of the year, and me and my mom have been really into reading throughout this entire year. I think around February is whenever we really started to get the itch and started to read again. It was kind of a forgotten hobby, and so it's been really, really fun to start that up again, and it's been such a fun thing for me and my mom to do together. So we both love thrillers, and that's been fun to kind of read different books and give each other recommendations, or read the same books and talk about them. It's been so fun to go book shopping together, and my mom has a Goodreads account as well, so we follow each other on there, of course, and it's fun to kind of watch each other's progress and all of that kind of stuff, find other books that we might be interested in and all of that. So way back at the beginning of the year, one of the first books, well, probably in my second month of reading, I read Finley Donovan is Killing It, and I absolutely loved it. I told my mom she had to read it. So we were both read the first Finley, and then the second one is called Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. So if you haven't read these, I highly recommend them. They are a cozy mystery kind of book, so kind of like a random lady who is not a detective in any means, but she's an amateur sleuth, and she actually gets kind of mistaken as a hit woman, and ends up, there's dead bodies, there's crimes, there's all kinds of stuff that need to be solved and need to be figured out, and she's always right there in the middle of it. So it's a really fun book to read, and there is the second one, Knocks 'Em Dead, and then the third one is coming out in January. So even though me and my mom read these books earlier in the year, we never bought them. I think we read them on the Kindle, or we listened to them on Audible or whatever, and so we never actually bought the book. So for Christmas, we thought that that would be a really fun gift, would be to grab these books and put them in our stockings. So I wanted to take a picture of those and take a picture by the tree. So I thought that this would be kind of a fun little story to talk about here in my Project Life album. So as far as the layout goes, I started off with a white sheet of paper. Then you can see that I filled up maybe more than half of the page with this really pretty pink snowflake pattern that is from that Down the Chimney paper from Die Cuts with a View. Then I grabbed out the tag cut apart sheet from Simple Stories, A Mix and a Mingle collection, and I felt like they worked out good enough. I cut out a bunch of the tags and kind of just added them there to the right side, almost just for additional embellishment or interest. And then on 3 of the tags, like every other one, I am tying a bit of this red and green and white ribbon here, or twine, and just tying little bows here to just give it a little something extra. Now, I will say, just documenting one photo is kind of difficult for me. That's not my favorite way to scrapbook 12 by 12 layouts. I really prefer to have more photos. I didn't have any larger printer paper like the 8.5 by 11, the picture photo paper. I didn't have any left, so I had to print this off. The biggest I could print it off was a 4 by 6. So I think that I probably would have printed this off a little bigger if I had the option, just so it would take up a little more real estate. Or maybe perhaps I will add an additional small photo to this layout later. I'm not sure. But as for right now, it works out good enough. So I've just put a little bit of white paper in the background of my photo, just matted it, and then I'm adding some of these foam dots just to pop it up a little bit, which is the same thing that I did on the last layout as well. So I'm going to pop it up and then add it over here kind of to the right side of the spread. Then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and since I had so much space, I knew that I could fit a larger title. So I end up kind of digging through my stash here, trying to figure out what I was going to add next. And I try a few different things, but then I end up going with a couple of the alphas from Citrus Twist that I had on my table here. So you'll see that as we go. So let me know, did you guys discover any new hobbies or anything, or an old hobby that came back to you over 2022? Or is there something that you're hoping to pick up in the new year with 2023? Definitely reading was huge for me this year because I really did not actively read or listen to audiobooks very often in the past few years. Whenever I had an office job, I would get an audiobook from time to time and listen to it, but not in the way that I'm like consuming books now. So I've really been thankful for this hobby. I think it's been really fun, and I've loved getting into BookTube accounts on YouTube and Bookstagram on Instagram, and it's just been really a fun way to kind of connect with people. And then, of course, I have over on my Patreon, I have a book club, so that's really fun. It's a cozy mystery book club, so we always choose a cozy mystery that we read every month, and we have a Zoom discussion at the end of the month. So no matter the tier, the $5, the $8, or the $12 tier, if you sign up even at the $5 level, you can join the book club and read with us and have a fun Zoom full of super awesome people and chat about books and whatever else. So just putting that out there. But yeah, so books have really been a huge part of my 2022, and I'm hoping that that will extend to 2023. So I grabbed out these skinny black alphas from Citrus Twist, which I absolutely love, and I put "We wish you a blank Xmas," and then I thought I would use these smaller ones from Citrus Twist, and I would spell out bookish. So it would say, "We wish you a bookish Xmas," which is kind of a play on the Christmas song, of course. So I'm kind of just getting everything in position. I really like the way that these two fonts work with each other. And I feel like the black, kind of graphic black font works out nicely because there is quite a bit of black in the book covers. And then also the bookish, being those two tones of green, kind of brings in some of the green of the tags over on the right side. So I felt like that worked out pretty good. After this is where I started to like just run into little bits of issues and feel like I am struggling with the one photo, just because I do feel like this layout could maybe use a little bit more. I added a few of the chipboard stars there around my title. And then here I'm just trying to figure out like what else could I add. So I knew I wanted to put some journaling, of course. So I end up adding in some journaling over here to this right side. So I'm going to put my journaling here and just talk about me and my mom loving reading these books together. Also, I thought it was fun because I took a little boomerang. This is a photo, but I also did a little boomerang on Instagram and posted it saying that me and my mom got our favorite books for Christmas, and I tagged the author, Elle Casamano, I think is her name, and I tagged her in the hopes that she would maybe repost us, and she did, which I thought was so cool. So that was like something fun to tell my mom. I was like, I bet she'll repost us, and she did. So just having that little bit of a connection with someone like an author who you really like, it's kind of special. So that's another reason why I love Instagram, and social networking in that way is so fun. So I'm just adding on my journaling, and I'm just realizing now that I did not cut much out of this video. So I'm almost wondering if I did not edit this down as I normally would. So you're getting to see all of the me, writing out my journaling without me taking any of it away. So I apologize if this video is a little too long for anyone's taste, but we're just going to roll with it at this point. So hopefully you like hearing me just blabber on throughout this video, a little extra long video for the Christmas season here. We'll just say that. So I'm adding on my journaling. I like the way that journaling looks here on the right side. I think it was nice to add in and kind of balances the "We Wish You a Merry Xmas" like large title. I think that helps a lot. And I think I also grab my date stamp, if I remember correctly, and I'm going to date stamp under that just to give it a little added interest. So I'm just going to stamp out, I think, Christmas Day, and I'll just stamp that out because that is when we took the photos. And then I'm going to play around here just a little bit more, trying to figure out if I wanted to add any other embellishments. I think I only add a couple other things here to the end. I'm pretty sure I'm going to take off that silver star that I just added, and I'm going to add a different sticker. And then maybe I add a little bit more paper or something. There's a couple other things, but for the most part, this is finished. So in my mind, if it was bothering me and I was able to figure out something else that I wanted to place on this layout in the kind of lower left corner of that photo, I could print off like an additional 2x2 photo or something like that and maybe add it there just so there is 2 photos on this layout. So I'm marinating on that idea if I find something else that I want to include. So we shall see. But yeah, I love collecting books. Let me know. Raise your hand if you are if you love to buy books. Like, I've always heard people talk about that and say that like that is, a huge thing for them, and they love to buy books, and they have like these huge TBR, to be read, book carts and bookshelves at home because they have so many books left to read. But until this year, I don't know. I never really thought about buying books, but now that's one of the main things that me and my mom do. Like, we always check Target. We love to go to a local bookstore here called Novel. That's super fun. And then we went to Barnes & Noble for the first time in years around my birthday this year. So we've been talking about going back again since it's been a few months. So now I have so many books on my shelves that I need to read, but it is really fun having them at home because it's like you have your own library and you can kind of shop your own books and find ones that you want to read whenever you feel like it. So it's so fun. I've loved even adding some bookshelves to mine and Will's bedroom and things like that so I can add books, and they just make a room feel so cozy anyways. So I've just really loved it. So here I'm thinking that maybe I want to add something else. And it's funny because this paper just happened to be like in a little bit of a wave shape just from whatever I previously cut out of it. But I really liked it. So I kind of just finished it off there and went with the shape that the paper was already in. So I add a little bit of this kind of waviness here to the bottom. So I'm just going to cut that off so that it's all straight. And then I do add just a little bit more that I thought almost looked like a bow, kind of like a wonky abstract bow, and I add it to the top of the photo as well. I do kind of consider removing it, but it's stuck down. So we're just going to leave it, but I really love that striped pattern. It's one of my favorite pattern papers out of the whole pack. So I'm happy to have it on there. I think it's cute. And now that I'm looking, I think I might just try to add one more photo over there to the lower left portion of that picture that's already on the spread. And I think that will help me out with it a little bit. So that's going to be my plan. So don't be surprised if you see that later in my album. So now I'm just going to cover up my photo as best I can. And then I am going to add a little bit of this Heidi Swapp tinsel colored Heidi Shine here, which I think just gives it a little pop of something extra. And there you have it. So I hope you enjoyed these layouts, friends. If you did, please give me a like and please also consider subscribing. And of course, I'll be back at you with another one very soon. Bye.